He's headed the men's fellowship. He served on the church's building committee. He ensures that the church's ambiance is maintained to the best of his ability. He's always cheerful. He's exuberant about his faith. He sings with the church choir. He's present at Bible study. This is Elder Clyde Williams, the church member. But we hardly know anything about Clyde Williams, the father. This Father's Day, he will share some insights into his role as a father. Share with us, Elder Williams, what has it been like raising a daughter?
It's been a labor of love raising Dawn, our daughter, and by our I mean Juliet and myself. From the time Dawn has been in this world, Dawn actually made rearing a child for us very easy. It may have been my first experience as a father, but for sure I came up in a home where there were other siblings, and I was very involved in their upbringing. So when I assumed my own responsibilities as a father, that experience came into play. So I actually knew my role as a father. I knew how I should behave toward this little child to impress her in a way where she would grow up with utmost respect for others.
I'm sure that there must have been challenges along the way. Share with us, what do you consider to have been your greatest challenge of fatherhood?
From a very early time, I remember there was one specific incident when Dawn Marie displayed a stubborn streak. To this day, I don't know where it came from. But what I will tell you is that this morning in particular, and that streak wasn't displayed toward me, but toward her mother. And as I was at home and hearing and seeing what was going on, I just walked up to Dawn and I gently held her hand and said to her, "But Dawn Marie, this is your mother that loves you, that bring you into this world, that makes your breakfast on mornings. And Dawn, this is how you're treating your mother." And I held her hand and gave her one little slap. I doubt my slap would have killed a fly. But that child bawled as though she was going to break her heart. And while she was there crying, Daddy's still talking. But Dawn, that wasn't nice. And you still have to go and tell Mommy you are sorry, You still have to do that. And you got to let Mommy know I love you. And between sobs, that child went very obedient to me and said, Mommy, I sorry. I sorry. Mommy, I love you. And she cried and she cried. And when she came back, Daddy loved her as usual. I embraced her and told her, Dawn, I love you. And that hurt me to lash you too, but don't ever do it again. I never had to discipline that child again in my life.
I know that it is often said, well, more so in Barbados, that men usually look for firstborn to be a son. We've heard you relate how you shared with your neighbor, how you broke the news to your neighbor that you had a daughter. Share with us how you broke the news to your neighbor that you had a daughter.
I guess this story would make most people laugh. Maybe everybody would not have a sense of humor to see the joke of it. But I remember when I got home that evening from the hospital, I was in a frame of mind where I felt I was a giant. I felt so proud of what we had achieved. We have a daughter in our life kicking. And as I was about to, reverse the car around the house to park it, my neighbor who just lived over the street from me, he saw me and he said, "Clyde, come here a minute." And I knew immediately he wanted to know what the baby was. So between parking the car and walking to his home, I came up with a smart idea. So I slowed my pace down to a minimum. I was walking as though I had the world on my shoulders. And I took about 40 good seconds when I could have normally covered that distance in about 10 seconds. And when I got at the window where he was sitting, I just went there and I propped my hand on the windowsill and rest my hand on my folded fist. And he asked, Julie got the baby? And I pretended as though I didn't hear the question. I sighed a long sigh and I shook my head. And he asked the question again, Julie got the baby? And I simply said, the baby came before the penis. And in this man's mind, he felt now that I had an abnormal child. And he started by saying, Clyde, I'm so sorry. And you know, he's trying to get his hand in front of my face now. He holding one of the fingers of the left hand and the right hand. And he holding by the bare tip like this. And he said to me, not even a little piece. I could have burst with a laughter, but I decided to carry the joke a little further. I said, man, no, not even a little piece. And that's when he said to me, so that means they're going to go operate my baby? Well, he can't hold it anymore. I said, thank God the baby don't have a little piece. Because if the baby had a little piece, along with what the baby has, they will go operate in truth. And he looked at me as though he still didn't get the joke. I said, the baby is a girl.
You've heard from Elder Clyde Williams, the father. Thank you so much, Elder Clyde.
Thank you.